seriously, this bike makes me feel like I could go down anything.
All right, on to my first demo bike, the Rocky Mountain Slayer 770 MSL. Now I'm 5'8", and with a 69 centimeter saddle height from the center of the bottom bracket to the top of the seat, I rode a medium with a 150 millimeter dropper post. It fit me perfect with the reverb pushed all the way in. And with 165 millimeters of travel in the rear and 170 in the front, both of them were covered by RockShox, the Super Deluxe Debonair RC3 in the back, and the Lyric RCT3 fork in the front, both of which I just rode in the open setting, as I feel that's the best way to judge the way a bike's suspension design rides. With a full XT group set, minus the crankset, which was race face, this thing was kitted out just the way I like it. The Rocky Mountain bikes have the Ride 9 system, or the Ride 4 for the Slayer, that allows you to change the geometry and the way the rear shock handles. So basically there's slack setting, steep setting, linear for lighter riders, and more progressive for heavier riders, or for the way you like to ride. Now, since 165 and 170 millimeters is way too much travel for anywhere around me, except for some of the downhill runs, enduro racing, or the bike park, I had this one set up in the steepest setting, giving me about a 66-degree head angle and a 75-degree seat tube angle. Nice and steep for climbing. Now, onto the climbing. This bike was definitely an adjustment from my hardtail. This thing is a lot of bike, really long, really slack, with a ton of squish. Normally this would make for a bike that doesn't climb very well. Although this bike is probably stronger suited for the descents, it climbed really well. I was really surprised. After kind of a break-in period of 10 to 15 minutes just to get used to it, I was climbing just as well, if not better, than on my hardtail. And I was even cleaning things that usually take me a few tries, or things that I haven't tried before, or just things that I felt like were out of my range before. I perceived it to make technical climbing a lot easier. For a gravity-oriented bike, this climbed insane, as well as only having 2 pedal strikes in the span of a 3-hour demo ride, and no noticeable pedal bob. The suspension was efficient where I needed it, and it remained active for climbing traction when I needed it there. It's definitely not a fast climber like an XC bike would be, but it got me up without complaint, and I enjoyed it. I actually felt like I was a better rider because of it. Now onto the descending. Again, I felt like it made me a better rider. Wow, did this thing inspire confidence. It made a pretty hard trail with features that I normally would roll up to and spot out and then try a few times, into a pure easy trail where I felt like I could just bomb down anything or go off anything without having seen it. It was really fun in that aspect, but being such a big bike, it wasn't as playful and responsive to the trail. It mainly just soaked everything up and compensated for my poor line choices. With a fairly long reach of 434 millimeters for the medium, it was roomy enough to feel stable, but it wasn't too long when I really needed to get behind the bike. This felt like a point-and-shoot kind of bike, with the Maxxis Minion DHF 2.5s, the wide trail tires. It just felt like it had the grip of my Plus bike and the plushness of a Cloud, but also a little bit more nimble like a regular 27.5. And I feel like the wide trail tires are the perfect balance between the standard tires and Plus tires. This bike would be perfect if all I did was enduro and bike parks, or if I just wanted to let the bike do all the work for me. Although, I would prefer something with a little less travel, a bit more responsive to the trail under me, and a bit more playful. But I will say that this bike made me fall in love with the way Rocky Mountains ride. For me, it just fit like a glove and was incredibly fun, and no amount of researching stats and geometries can make up for the way the bike feels when you ride it. So when it comes down to buying a bike, for me and my trails, this one is probably not the right one, but it definitely has made me fall in love with the way Rocky Mountain bikes ride, so I'm going to try some more. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned.